Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am DM Bluddworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today I'm going to be doing a little preview of For Gold and Glory. This is an old school role-playing or OSR game system written by Justen Brown. And, I have to be honest with you, I've had the PDF for this for an incredibly long time. I think it might even be close to a year or so that I've had had access to the PDF, but I never got around to actually taking a look at it. And then recently, as you know from my videos that I've been doing, I've really been digging into second edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And then sometime early on last week, I decided, you know what? This has been sitting in my queue to purchase on Drive-Thru RPG, and so I picked up the soft cover copy. All right, so you can get this for $10.99 on Drive-Thru or the PDF for free. So I always like to get the soft cover if it's available, and it's nice and cheap, and especially if it comes along with a free PDF, which this one does anyway, so that I can actually give them a good read when I'm on the computer, or when I'm just sitting downstairs on the couch and I can read through some RPGs. So what surprised me was that this is an OSR based on second edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. So I was like, all right, very similar to the to OSRIC, which is a compilation of first edition AD&D. This one here is a compilation of second edition AD&D. So if you are an AD&D second edition player, you're looking to, this might be an alternative. A much cheaper alternative than getting all of the second edition materials. So let's start taking a look at this real quick, and we'll see what the PDF has to offer. So here we have the PDF, and before I jump into that and go over that, let's show you really quick. So here it is on Drive-Thru, and it's sold under the publisher of God Emperor Games, and you can see here's the PDF for free, and here is the form fillable, which is always very useful. The form fillable, which is also free, of the character sheet, and I will spend a little bit of time with the character sheet and show you that. It's a really nice character sheet that comes along with this as well. Now you can also, let's see, you can also see the price list here. So for the soft cover black and white, which is what I picked up, is $10.99. You can get a hardcover premium core book for $44.99, or the standard color hardcover for $27.99, which is not too expensive considering it's a hardcover. You can get the hardcover black and white for $15.99. Again, not too expensive. Soft cover color book for $22.99, and so on and so on. You can get various combinations and packages of everything. Well, the PDF is free regardless of what you're getting. So, I don't understand why they listed all of them like that, but because you can always pick up the PDF separately and for free. But anyway, let's get right to the PDF itself, the book itself. And I will adjust this as necessary. So this book is an OSR compatible and can be used with any old school RPG or modern clones. It's designed with the advanced version of the game in mind, but with minimal changes can be used to the original or classic rules of their clones. And the reason why, or the immediate cue to me, was that this contains THAC0, And I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually a second edition. But here they have second edition as well. Um, this is the second edition of this game here, but when I saw the crediting of various individuals, I knew that this was a second edition clone. So we go into the table of contents, and uh, you will notice that there's about 360 pages of content here. All right, not including the character sheet and such, and the various appendices. So it is a very, very jam-packed volume. I was also taking a look at how it's organized, and it appears to be organized almost exactly the way that the second edition AD&D Dungeon Master's Guide is organized. So I had a request to actually do the next video in that series that I'm running and to focus on chapter 10. And so that will be the next video that I do for my second edition AD&D series, and that chapter is encounters. So I won't spend any time with encounters while I'm going over this review, or preview, I should say. You can tell that the art is really, really good. Obviously not, like, I recognize some of the pictures that are in here, so they're certainly not original art pieces that were, or at least not all of them, for this book. But here we have the forward, and the forward is written by Justen Brown, and he's talking about his experience in gaming. And unwittingly, I'm going to right to the second paragraph. I was being prepared for the richer and more in-depth experience that transcended the digital world. So he really began with computer RPGs and such. And so now he started to delve into tabletop. And his first introduction to that was second edition advanced rules at his local library. So that's where this book is really coming into existence. The editor's forward is followed, and that's by Moses Wildermuth. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. Introduction to the game, so chapter 0, the introductions. They go into what looks like maybe a sample of play, the interaction between the GM and the various characters, a glossary of terms, some more, very good artwork. Character creation basics, ability scores, different methods of rolling for ability scores, method 3, New Age. This is the first time I've seen this one. 4d4 plus 2, 6 times, and assign as the player chooses. Very interesting. Was that in second edition? I have to double check that and see if that came straight out of second edition. They said there may be some rules tweaking in here, so perhaps that's one of them. I will take a look next time I'm looking through my second edition DMG. So ability score modifiers and such, player character races. And so the player character races, and they have who can play what. All right, so still a throwback to older editions of D&D where, a dwarf could not be a bard, could only be up to a 10th level cleric, which is an improvement from D&D, old D&D. Could not be a druid, could be a fighter up to 15th, could not be an illusionist, a magic user, a paladin, or a ranger, could be a thief up to level 12. All right, let's take a look at my one of my favorites, and that is the halfling. A halfling cannot be a bard, which I find kind of strange, um, that they can't be bards. They can be clerics up to grade 8, level 8. They could be druids, no. Again, a little bit odd. A fighter up to 9, a thief up to 15. All right. And then no to illusionist, magic, paladin, or ranger. Again, I find a little bit of, strangeness in that they cannot be druids or in particular bards. I find kind of strange. But again, that's probably a throwback to second edition AD&D. I haven't really dug into, the various class restrictions based on race. Ability score requirements for the various types. So they have racial ability score requirements with both minimums and maximums. They have racial score adjustments across the board for demi-human races. So we, plenty of pictures included in this. Some full page pictures, which is nice if you have the soft cover and especially if it's in color. But I wouldn't go printing this PDF page for page. I would eliminate those full plates from the printing process because it would be very ink using to do that. So here is Thaco, and we saw, so Thaco for the wizards. Level-based, per class level-based saving throws. And so on. Now, one thing that when I came across it, and I really felt that there was possibly a missed opportunity here, and that's when I got to Thief. Where did I miss Thief? Or they might have it listed as Rogue. No, they have Bard. Oh, here we are. So Thieves. It's odd they had Bards after Thieves. I thought it would be alphabetical. I really liked what Frank Mentzner did with the Thief, the modified Thief in Beckme or in the companion, the compendium, the D&D Cyclopedia, where he had the Jack of all, the Jack of all, thieves kind of skills and how they were combined and such. And that I really think is a better system than what this is here, or what is in the original AD&D first and second edition. And I really wish they included that here, because I think that those are better use of skills, for thieves. I really like playing thieves, and I like playing thieves that are thieves, and they do things that thieves actually do. They're not just they're not a rogue doing adventuring kind of stuff. Their main motivation is the acquisition of somebody else's wealth. And so I kind of like skill sets that go according to that. And if you're not familiar with it, I will do a video one day on just that modification of what the thief class could have really been back in D&D basic and in advanced. At that time, it could have even, made its way into advanced second edition, but it didn't. So a section on alignment, and I've done enough of these videos and covered enough game systems where you kind of know where alignment, what alignment is and such. Chapter 6 non-combat skills. So there's nothing here so far that really stands out as being dramatically different than second edition, other than the fact that you have easier access to it and cheaper access to it using this game system than finding the originals of second edition, which will probably run you about $40 per book right now. Moving on, so we have the non-weapon proficiencies. We have equipment, and the equipment is fairly fairly filled out with various provisions and such, and basic equipment, animal equipment, so barding and such, animals if you wanted to purchase animals. So much more information. Here's your basic weapons available, and so on. Again, I've done enough of these videos and previews and reviews of game systems that all of these various types of systems are fairly uniform. So nothing jumping out to me as being unique. This is probably talking about magic resistance. Okay. I was going to say THAC0, but that'll come up in Chapter 9, the combat section. Let's take a look at that. Or here, 8 is combat. Chapter 8 is combat. Still combat. It's kind of weird that they have charmed creatures, but they have like turning undead. That's normal. Where's their THAC0? Looks more like combat maneuvers. Encounters. The attack roll. Alright, they talk about THAC0 here. And they talk about the adjustments here. So that's the same as the other book. Alright. I want to move down to what I found to be unique. And this is kind of something that you normally don't see. I think people focus on in videos, especially previews and review videos of tabletop RPGs. But this really jumped out to me, and I just want to highlight this for you all to really appreciate. Here's the Bestiary, of course, and all of the various monsters and creatures and others that you can encounter. These tend to be very image light sections, because it would just cost too much to include many pictures. I recognize this picture, or at least where it looks like a modification of another image I've seen before. But anyway, let's get to where I'm going. And this is probably something you haven't seen before, so I really want to focus on it. I wish I had like a clicker where you could just click. Actually, I probably could. No, that's going to increase the size. Where you could just click on and go to the next page without having to scroll like this. So just bear with me. I know some ways of presenting a PDF you can do that. Let's see if we can. So I know I'm going to overshoot it. There we go. So past the index and the glossary, if there is one, and legal. So let me expand on this a little bit. So For Golden Glories by Justen Brown, with contributions and editing by Moses Wildermuth and Chris Knowles and Dan Hyland. additional proofreading and such. They give all of these things based on the original rules by David Z. Cook, Steve Winter, and John Pickens. All right, here's the copyright. Here's a redistribution. So redistribution for Gold and Glory. This entire unmodified book can be redistributed either as a free PDF or as an at-cost print on demand. If you offer a print option, you are forbidden from making any profit from the sale. So for whatever reason, you can actually go out there and advertise and have these printed from your site. As long as you're not earning a profit from it, you're doing the at cost amount for it, no problems. Publishing your own works for gold for Gold and Glory. Publishers are free to use for Gold and Glory text for commercial or personal use, provided they comply with the For Gold and Glory compatibility statement license. This includes advertising your work using For Gold and Glory trademarks such as compatible with For Gold and Glory, or other phrases suggesting compliance with For Gold and Glory rule set. The compatibility statement you must state on the first page where you mention For Gold and Glory that For Gold and Glory and For FGNG are trademarks of Justen Brown. This work is not affiliated with Justen Brown. So once you've done that, you're actually free to publish an adventure or a supplement or anything for Gold and Glory, as long as you are not as long as you're producing an unmodified representation of the rules, unless you specifically state that, you know, this is a homebrew or something. So I just wanted to focus on this because it's probably a little bit more common with OSRs, but they're very open here as to exactly how you could use their content and their game system in order to publish your own works. So once again, if you're looking for a resource to help you get into second edition AD&D, For Gold and Glory is an excellent clone for doing that. Certainly reasonably priced. Like I said, $10.99 for a soft cover. You can see it's a very big volume, and it is very, an excellent layout of it. I did mention that I was going to take a look at the character sheet and what I liked about it. So let's do that. I forgot. So let's go right back to that. And let's see where they have the character sheet in this. Is it before or after? Oh, there it is. So here's the character sheet, and let me shrink this down a little bit. And remember, you can get the form fillable of this as well, but it has your basic character information here, your ability scores and all of their modifiers. Very, very clear, clean, and you can spot the stuff right away. Your movements and such with all of its potential modifiers. You have your armor class, surprised, shieldless, and rear. You have your hit points and wounds. You have your THAC0 plus its modifiers, your experience points, your weapons, your combat skills, your non-combat skills and or languages. And then on the back page, you have thief skills if you have them, your turning undead, any other special abilities as far as gear. You have spells per level, so the number of spells per level, the spheres or schools that are available to you, and then you can easily list the number of spells that you utilize, any treasure and notes. So I really like the cleanness of this character sheet, and it gives you all of the most important information. So, so once again, let's get back to this screen here and get back to wrapping this up. So if you're on the lookout for something that is very similar to Osric for first edition AD&D, this is a reasonably priced and well put together resource for second edition AD&D. If you don't want to bust out and start looking at all of the 20 or so books that come along with second edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. So once again, thanks for joining. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you hadn't subscribed, please consider subscribing, and be on the lookout. Make sure you get the alerts, because I will be doing several videos this week. A little bit more rapid succession than I have been. I've been really quite busy. So look at, look for, like, within the next day or two at the most, that next video on second edition Dungeon Master's Guide, Chapter 10, Encounters. So I will be focusing on that next. I might also do a channel news update, because I do have some things that I picked up along the way. I was clearing out my mother's house since she had moved, and found some little items back from my childhood, or possibly my younger brother's, I forget. But one of the things that I did find was these three figures that that I managed. So here's Hank the Ranger, here's Presto the Magic User, and here's the Unicorn. I forget his name for it. I wish I had the other ones, or I could find the other ones. Maybe they're still buried someplace in there, but at least I have these ones here, and this is something. These were all 1988, so I'm thinking either my younger brother, who was born in 1980, well, actually, he was born in 78, so he would have been about 10 years old. I was probably trying to get him interested in Dungeons and Dragons, but I was happy to find those. So I'll be talking in the next episode of Channel News about some of the other projects that I'm working on moving forward. So without further ado, let's wrap this up. Stay safe out there. I look forward to seeing you on the gaming screen sometime soon. I know tomorrow night I have my AD&D. It's not AD&D. I keep on forgetting that. It's a BECME campaign that I'm a player in. So it's been quite some time since I've played that version of Dungeons and Dragons. So it's nice to take my Dungeon Master cap off every once in a while and get into some playing. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow night's session as well. So you all have a great afternoon. Stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you on the gaming screen sometime soon. Take care.